Today we're talking about Epstein, the missing footage, the White House's response, including the fact that they're saying you should stop asking questions about it. How dare you bring it up at a time when they just released new information about it?
Can you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
The level of gaslighting here is unbelievable. These are the same people that have led us on for months that they're going to release the Epstein files, that it's transparency time. They're the ones that did the press op with them holding up the Epstein binders with the influencers. They're the ones who said in 2023 that we would better serve the American people by going after Epstein's client list. In fact, they're the ones who went on podcasts saying they're going to release the Epstein list.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
That is an important thing, or was an important thing until there was no Epstein list. Turns out there's nothing to see here, nobody to charge. Epstein was trafficking to himself the entire time, and it is a desecration to even bring it up. Now, why this is so disgusting is the DOJ chose to release it now, okay? In case you don't know how bad news gets released in the era of PR and all this kind of stuff, they choose the timing, and they always choose the most inconvenient times to talk about stuff, the busiest news cycles. It is a very busy news cycle. There are a lot of things going on that are important, but that's why they released it now, because they know nobody's gonna like this, right? They know that. So they release it now, and then they scold people for talking about it. Do you get how gross this is? You guys are the ones desecrating. If anyone's desecrating anything, it's you guys. You guys chose to release it now, okay? So to play this cynical card of like, how dare you talk about it at a time like this? You chose the time. A few months ago, it wasn't a desecration to brag about the transparency, right? But now the old Epstein list apparently can't be released because it doesn't exist. Now, oh, it's a desecration to even bring it up. How could you talk about this New York financier? Luckily for us, Pam Bondi does actually address the missing minute of footage. Now we're going to talk about that.
The video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
And that's it, guys. Apparently every night the surveillance system of this prison had 1 minute missing, okay? One key minute. The middle of the night, we don't know why, but it's the whole system, apparently the whole system that went out 10 days before. The part of the system that was working, 1 minute was always missing, but surely there's nothing that could have happened during that minute. Now, again, I'm not even on the team of like, it has to be that someone killed. I'm agnostic to that. What I am saying is the absolute confidence with which they come out and say, it proves everything. Yes, there's a minute missing. Yes, we don't know what happened, but nothing to see here, guys. We're closing the case. I mean, you couldn't try harder to make it look like a cover-up. I'm not saying it is a cover-up. I'm saying you could, if you were to do that, this is what you would do. You'd say, hey, there's always minutes missing from our footage. Your prison guards would falsify records and then fall asleep during the key hours. Your security system that was monitoring the actual cell block would go out. And then you would claim the camera that was recording that didn't have a good line of sight, which had an obstructed view where someone could slip by the stairwell without anyone noticing. You'd claim that was definitive proof that nobody entered. So you can't blame people for asking questions given the powerful people involved when there's these coincidental mistakes, right? Even the first attempt, which put Jeffrey Epstein on a watch. That footage was captured on tape, but they failed to preserve it. That was a whole other saga, was, oh, they just preserved the wrong footage, so it's lost to time, right? That's also the same time where Epstein accused his cellmate of trying to kill him, by the way.
Tonight, a lawyer who met with Jeffrey Epstein days before his death says Epstein told him he'd never tried to kill himself 3 weeks before, despite jail reports saying he did.
Sean says Epstein revealed that a few days earlier, his former cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, had placed something around his neck.
And he put a rope around Mr. Epstein's throat and then pulled it. That left the abrasion.
Tartaglione was a former cop on trial for murdering 4 people. He used a twist tie to strangle one of them.
But apparently, we can't ask questions about that because, you know, they chose to release it at an inconvenient time, and therefore asking questions about it is somehow evil, wrong, or undignified. It's a desecration. Now, besides the 1 minute missing, Pam Bondi also addressed the tens of thousands of videos that she said that she had access to, now saying that they're largely irrelevant child exploitation material.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
Never going to see the light of day, that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I agree that probably some of this is true and it shouldn't see the light of day, but that isn't just what the FBI said they found. They also said they had videos and images of Epstein himself with minors. And was anyone else on these videos? We don't know, and they're not going to release it. And finally, they also addressed this whole agent angle where Alex Acosta said back in the day that Epstein belonged to intelligence. The idea is he was working for someone. There's been reports that he had CIA meetings on his calendar or that he might have been an FBI informant. Pam Bondi comes in and says she doesn't know anything about it.
To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
Now, if true, this is pretty unbelievable because this is the same person who just saw all the files, reviewed all the files that were on her desk. No idea if he was a member of intelligence. Like, how is that possible that you reviewed the entire file? And does anyone actually believe that? Like, we're gonna hear definitive stuff on this? If they haven't released it now, if they're scolding you now, do you think really they're gonna open that can of worms back up? How can you really say you have no idea if that's the case if you've reviewed the entire file? There's really no way to see this release as anything other than an abject humiliation of the people involved here, and it's mostly their own fault. I mean, these are the same people who engaged in the conspiratorial thinking of, hey, this is definitely a cover-up, this is definitely more to see here. Then they get in, and then they say the same stuff. So really, it comes down to they overpromised, they underdelivered, and then now they're scolding everybody involved for expecting the things that they were promised. Even Peter Doocy of Fox News, who's not exactly a left-leaning guy, was pressing the White House secretary on exactly this, these promises that failed to live up to the hype.
Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Yeah, they're more than committed to bad people getting put behind bars, except for anyone who is involved with Epstein. Where are the Epstein bad guys who were on that island, who were fraternizing with Epstein? Are we to believe that none of them did anything incriminating? It was just Epstein by himself, and all these people loved hanging out with him? I mean, we have reports. Like, the crazy thing is all this stuff is open. We have reports that Epstein's whole house was bugged specifically to record people in their private moments, and we're supposed to pretend like none of this existed.
He showed me where the men monitoring everything were. I looked on the cameras and I saw toilet, toilet, bed, bed, toilet, bed. It was very obvious that they were like monitoring private moments.
So the idea that it's just Epstein, there were multiple bedrooms being recorded, but apparently maybe he was just checking in to make sure they got a good night's sleep. He just wanted to make sure these millionaires and billionaires were getting their 8 hours. So yeah, the level of gaslighting here is unbelievable, and that's gonna be where we have to wrap it. Don't forget, Crime is Legal merch is ending in a few days. Go to coffeezilla.store if you wanna get that, and that's basically it.